Hi friends, in our time together today, I'm sharing one of my practice sessions of the Foxhunter slip jig that I recently introduced. I'll stick a note to the introduction there up at the top and at the end of this video. I'll put a link at the top of the notes to this video to the page on my website from which you could download the music and tabs if you haven't done that yet. For my practice session, I'm using the Carbony Low D narrow bore with close finger spacing and my Wild Irish High D because I like to do both because it helps me experiment with different tone and different things as I'm playing. And you if you've been with me for a little while, you know I kind of do that sort of thing. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe and join our community. Anyway, if you're new, one of the things I like to do as I'm going through a practice session is I pull a snapshot of myself at some point. Sometimes I do a practice session where it's like, oh, here's me learning the core of the tune. Sometimes it's, well, this is what I'm really feeling on the tune. I'm going to play it for you and talk about it. Sometimes it's, well, I'm only now starting to figure out my ornamentation and expression. And sometimes, like today, it's, well, I've already started thinking through that. And I think I want to figure out, I'm going to try some things for you. And just realized I'm wearing my Tennessee flag shirt because we live in the state of Tennessee up in the Appalachians. It's a beautiful, beautiful area, nice small town. Good small town life. A lot of fun. So that's my goal in this video, is to show you where I am. I want to show you where I am, not to show you where I am, but I want to show you where I am so that I have the opportunity to talk to you about developing and growing in your own style of playing great tunes. All the tunes we learn, I want to think out loud with you so that you learn to think for yourselves and decide how you want to play a tune. You know, one of the things we did recently, and I'll stick a link at the top here, was go through and say, how do you use a metronome to determine the target pace of a tune? And one of the things I said in that was, you know, a target pace is a range. For example, I looked up what is the appropriate pace, beats per minute, for a slip jig. And I found one reputable website that said 120 to 125 beats per minute. And I thought, I'm going to keep looking. And I found another very reputable website that said the proper beats per minute for a slip jig is between 112 and 118. I guess they're both right. It all depends, honestly, on how you want to play it. And in that video, I said I like to listen to groups playing it, not just like somebody like me teaching it, even though I did use a person teaching it in my example. But I found groups playing the Foxhunter slip jig down at like 98 beats per minute up to 124. And for me, I'm going to hover in at around 114 beats per minute. This is my target, my current target. And I wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to do 114 beats per minute. See, that's not all that crazy fast. If I ratchet this up to 124 beats per minute, which is one of the top ends there. You're going to have to make sure that you've got a good handle on the core of the tune, and yet you really kind of know the ornamentation and expression you want to use before you're going to be comfortable with that. So I say all that to say my target pace might change over time. So anyway, here's a practice session of me trying to realize some of the different things as I'm playing a tune. One thing I realized in my practice session that I didn't share in the trouble spots is you get to the D part, and you start off that run down. And you've got to go right back in to that run down. And you're going to have to find out. And what I did was, as I was practicing this to learn the chord of the tune, the second time through the D part, I was running out of breath. So remember I said in the breathing video, think ahead how you're going to breathe. And when you're going to breathe, it's pretty important. So I just wanted to underline that point there. Or you're going to run into the same trouble I did on the D part. Also, as I think through the ornamentation and expression of this tune, it's a beautiful, fun, bouncy tune. It's a dance tune. Don't make this tune overly boring. It's first line, repeat. Second line, repeat. Third line, repeat. Fourth line, repeat. And there is this phrase, which is the first line. You play that and you repeat it. Then for the third line, you play it again 1 octave higher. So a whole half of the tune, you are playing 4 measures repeated. So it could, especially if you're playing the song more than once. So I don't, for me, I'm sharing my thoughts. I don't want my ornamentation and expression to be exactly the same as I'm doing. So that's why let's jump into this. Think through your ornamentation and expression. I've told you before, just let your fingers decide what to do. Oh yeah, I do mean that, but here's my caveat. I probably should have said at the start. You need to have practiced it so much. You need to have thought through how you want to express this, that by the time you're ready to play it, you can let your fingers do what they want to do because you have played and practiced all your options and you're really pretty good at what you want to do. So thinking through this, I already have somewhat of a handle, so I'm going to kind of play it slowly and talk through it. And I'll stand so you can see my fingers. And I'm using the carbony, like I said. It's easier to see my fingers, I think. Starting off at the A part, you could just be punchy. Now, that is okay, but the problem is that it in and of itself can be repetitious. So here are some ornamentation options that I kind of like. I hear a number of folks doing a punch and then a roll and then walk down. And that's a good option because when you pick that up to speed, and when you're doing that, I do like to do the walk down. That's me personally. Instead of, I do like to use that, throw that E in because it sounds fun to me. Again, you do you. But I don't want on that first line to simply do the exact same thing. I've heard people play it with the roll in there. So sometimes when I'm doing the roll, I'll, traditionally you're doing note, cut, tap. But you could double it up some and I throw another cut in. Or you could double tap. Or you don't have to do the step down. The other way I like to do it is because the way it's phrased out is I might want to just punch it a little bit at the start. And then, so you could do that kind of thing. And I think that works well. Do a certain measure of mixing and matching. Don't be random with it. Be thoughtful with it. Now, I hope that helps. That's what I'm currently thinking on that A part. I know I'm going to change my thoughts a little, but moving into the B part. Now, the B part, okay, so a couple of things you could do. Either the first or the second time, you can slide into it, because remember you're a little tap into it, or you could slide into it. At the D, I actually just did the D and then bounced the D. I think that's a fun thing. I don't even know that that's an official ornament, but I think it's fun. And I like to put like a little roll there at that last E. So, and then bounce the A. And you don't want to get, I feel like I'm almost getting too carried away, because remember, it's a fun, bouncy tune. The tune in and of itself carries rhythm. So sometimes I get a little carried away with ornamentation so that I can intentionally back it off when I feel like I'm blurring the tune. I don't think I am, but I'll revisit that. And then when I get to the third bit, it's just a repeat of the first. I won't necessarily, if on the first I did, I might swap that out on the third, just to add some variation. Oh man, I really messed that up. That's where my fingers are at the minute. Where my thought is, but I'm not 100% certain I want to do the same thing in C as I do in A. You experiment, you think. And then I get to the D part, and I want to, again, like moving into the B part, I either want to slide into it or cut into it and then run down. So now there is a certain measure of the run that needs to exist in and of itself. And so I want to leave that B alone and hit it hard that comes out of the run. Hit that too hard. All right. that's kind of what I'm currently thinking. What I'd like to do, so again, that's a slightly different stage of my practice than what I sometimes share. So on the Wild Irish, see if it's easier for you to see my hands if I stand. Yep. I'm going to play through it. I think I'll dial it back a little from my target pace. See how this goes. Oh dear. I do need to work on that some. Interestingly, as I was playing through that, I realized in the third part that I did like to do the same thing I was doing on the, and I hit the third part, I did like to do the same thing I was doing on the first part because it's an octave different. And so that adds some interesting variation. So I take back what I said earlier about changing it up in the C part. One other thing I do, friends, is, I have a few different whistles, and when I'm playing something, I might try it on a different whistle because different whistles have different feels, and that helps me decide, like, oh, when I play this tune, I want to play it on this whistle. I don't know. It's interesting. It's different. So I hope this has been helpful, sharing with you where I am, what I'm currently thinking. And I didn't really say much on expression. Just to add real quickly, on the C part, I like to increase the volume. And I have added, I think you may notice, a few pauses here and there. And that's probably enough comments on expression for that right now. If this has been helpful, please like the video. It helps YouTube recommend our community to more folks. Please, in the comments, comment on some of the things you're doing and thinking with this tune, or whose rendition do you think is your favorite? That will be really helpful. And if you're brand new, please subscribe and join our community. We'd love to have you. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling.